Hello viewers, Super GT here. In this video we will be visiting the circuit where it was near enough impossible to overtake. Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. I went to this track a couple of years ago to watch DTM, and apart from lap 1 there really wasn't much overtaking apart from when people went into or just came out of the pit lane, as you can see this green car doing. So what I thought I'd do is do the same thing in the game, because this week we have Group 2. DTM is effectively the same as Super GT cars, which is Group 2. So we're going to see if overtaking is actually possible and prove my theory wrong that you can't overtake. Well, at least prove my experience wrong that when I went to the track to watch DTM, there was no overtaking. Let's see if it's very different in the game, shall we? So we've gone with the Nissan 2016 GTR. And this is the first time I've done the race. I did like 3 or 4 practice laps, but I decided to not set a qualifying time, to deliberately start at the back. And you can just have a look at the group up in front to see that this is really going to kick off very soon. So we reached the back end of the circuit, this fast flowing section. Not much in the way of overtaking here, apart from, well, there is an overtake because I put myself out in a stupid position. Then the Russian goes through. So he's driving the Honda NSX. Lots of different cars here. Look at this, about 8-9 cars in one straight alone here. So it's all kicking off. The Russian's going to go flying up the inside here with a nice aggressive move. We're going to try and follow him through on the exit. So I've pretty much dispelled the theory that you can't overtake around this track, because look at this already. We've got quite a few overtakes done. Into turn 1, down the hill, back up the hill into Druid's hairpin. Looking for this move, not quite gonna work, just tucking behind the Spaniard. We're in 17th, started 18th. Let's see what position we can get up to in this one. We have to learn on the spot, because Group 2 around Brands Hatch is not a combination that comes up too often. It has come up before, and then whoa, all of a sudden this Finnish driver just gets absolutely abused. Visits the good old guy Barrier there on the right hand side, and the Spaniard just continues without a penalty. That looks like the stewards were napping there. Okay, so we're up into 16th courtesy of that those shenanigans there. This corner here, sheen curve, very difficult, blind entry, especially when you're right up behind a Spaniard. You can barely see anything. And through the left onto the back straight towards the final corner. So then, let's see what the Russian's going to go for a move. Is this going to kickstart a chain of events? Yes, it is. The Frenchman here losing momentum as a result. We're going to go up the inside, up towards turn 1, trying to spot your braking point, and I've overshot it slightly. And we've got to give props to the Frenchman there for a nice little cut back. He's gone quite deep on the brakes into the back of the Spaniard, but he's going to get that position back. A little bit frustrating there, but you can't always go forward. Sometimes you've got to lose a position. Oh, the Russian, he's got it all out of shape on the exit curb there, and as a result goes into the Spaniard. We're going to gain 2 positions for free, and we move up into 14th. So my clickbait title was completely wrong. It is clearly proven that you can overtake. We're going to go for another overtake here. Well, perhaps it just shows you the difference between reality and a game. In real life, when I watch DTM, they genuinely could not overtake. Not one overtake. Like, not one genuine overtake on track after lap 1. It was all in the pit lane after that. But here, this is a game. This is the beauty of gaming. You can change all the settings. Oh my goodness, Skittles wagon going very slowly. I'm going to try and cut across here to get to the inside for turn 4. We're going to manage it up into 11th. And this is going well now on lap number 4. Spaniard just behind. We're going to tuck to the right-hand side. He's going to back off. That allows me to go back to the left to take the racing line. We are surrounded by Spaniards at this point. But we're going to try and attack the one in front rather than get attacked from the one behind. Up into Sterling's easy corner to get wrong. One of the hallmarks of a Brands Hatch race is seeing someone in the barrier on the left hand side on the exit of Sterling's. And this driver here has got that corner there very slowly indeed. done it a little bit wrong. And he's got that horrifically wrong. And it looked like he wanted to turn right into the pit lane. But they're 3 abreast now going across the start-finish line to begin lap number 5. But yeah, that Spaniard got it all out of shape. It looks like he wanted to cut right, but unfortunately, I was in that exact space that he wanted to be in. So now we're trying to pull away from that big group behind, trying to catch up with this one in front, and they are very much battling. You can see just a couple of corners later, I catch them very quickly. The gap emerges, and we're just going to send it up the inside into T4, get the job done up into 8th position. We do have to make a pit stop, and I'm planning to make it at the end of this lap. I'm going to whip it forward slightly, having a look at the Polish driver battling with another Spaniard here through Sheen Curve. He's got it wide on the grass, and he's fishtailing everywhere violently. Another Spaniard wide, and we've gained 2 positions in about 2 seconds, up to 6th place. Who would have thought it? And at the end of lap 6, are we going to peel into the pit lane? No, we're going to go 1 lap more, do a 7-lap stint, then an 8-lap stint. A couple of drivers going into the pit lane there. That's something to be wary of. They will most likely get some form of undercut. So this lap needs to be a good one. And at the end of that lap, let's see what we do. We're going to go into the pit lane here, flick over to the right hand side, cut the grass a little bit, and in we go. No need to fuel. We'll get some new tyres. You can do a no stop on this, but I think with the short pit lane lost time, it is the safer option to get the fresh tyres. So you can see there we've got undercut by 2 of the Spanish drivers there. So we've lost a couple of positions courtesy of going in a little bit too late. Well, it might not be too late because their tyres are going to be 1 lap older, which could be quite disastrous. Catching up with Steve there. He goes into the pit lane, and then this Italian here, I'm not sure what that racing line is, but it's obviously not the right one. We're going to go past him into 7th. And we have a Spanish civil war here at turn 1. Eric Cases goes through up the inside. I'm going to try and follow him through as quick as possible. But this is where the problems arise. We were able to overtake earlier in the race because I would have had a pace advantage on most of those drivers. But now we're getting towards the mid-front pack of the race, and we're going to come up against drivers who have got a similar pace to us. This is where things get very difficult to overtake around this track. What you need for overtaking ideally is long braking zones into sharp corners, and this track doesn't have too many of those. It's also quite thin, relatively thin. It's not the widest of circuits, so it's against you. The odds are stacked against you in terms of overtaking. The best 2 overtaking opportunities, perhaps turn 1 and turn 2, and we're coming up to those now. I don't really get a good enough exit off of the final corner to put myself into a position to go for this overtaking to turn 1. Way too far back. But how about turn 2? Not really. And it's easy to defend this corner as well. So it's not quite going to happen here. We just have to push this guy, pressure him into a mistake. Not literally push him, but pressure him into making an error and hope that we can capitalise on it. By this point it's lap 12. He's taken a couple of laps just to really try to unsettle him, and it's not really working, to be honest. I'm going to look up the inside and just put my car in his mirror, and he does overcook it. It leaves the space open on the exit, and we're going to slip into that gap and move up into 6th place. Beautiful stuff. He's going to try the move. We can take the racing line. It's going to require a very brave and precise lunge from that distance back. Not quite going to work. And again here, don't need to defend. He's not quite close enough. We do also have that tyre advantage, let's not forget. So this is lap 13, this is lap 15, and I couldn't quite gain on the rest of the pack. So ultimately, we came through to finish in 6th place. Oh, yes! Beautiful stuff. Up 12 positions. It was a pretty good race, that. Good fun. You can overtake around here. But what I wanted to do is qualify, set a nice time, and start towards the front, and we'll see if it really is a lot harder to overtake. So setting some nice consistent times in the sort of mid to high 14s. So 14.7, 14.7, 14.8, 14.7. So some consistent laps. Let's go through my fastest lap, which is just going to begin here. So looking for that last brake board on the left, and just setting the corner into there nicely. Setting the car into there nicely. using the green Astro on the exit. Easy to outbrake yourself into this one. Just be nice and patient on the power. You can use a bit of that curve on the exit. Back over to the right. And then on the exit here, you can really get on the power very early and use a lot of that. Looking for this last board on the right there. Then being patient. Looking for that line. That's kind of your apex. And then, again, using the curve on the exit. You really do have to maximize the track width here because it is quite a thin track. And then, boom. There's that last board. Sets you into that corner nicely. The car does like to oversteer. This is the Honda NSX, the Raybrig one now. So this is actually the car that set the fastest lap times for this time trial. And it is, I think, slightly quicker over a single lap than the Nissan GTR, which we were just using. So a nice line through that second to last corner, coming up towards the final corner. And you can use the grass on the entry on the left, but it's quite risky. But it does give you better rotation. And we are going to improve our time by about 3/10 here. Keep over to the right-hand side. And boom, it's a 14.4. I know I can definitely go quicker. Let's take a look at the split times. In fact, on my best lap, only 2 of the 5 sectors were green. And we could have done a 14.1 if I connected all the best sectors. So, before we go into the race, just wanted to get a nice livery. This one, look at this. Absolutely beautiful. Must be worth half a second a lap. I have no doubt about that. So let's jump into this race. Where are we going to be starting courtesy of the 14.4? It's going to be 4th. So it's a lot better than 18th. So now this is going to be a proper test. We're up the front end. And we'll see just how hard it is to overtake when you've got the faster drivers to contend with. So warm up those tyres in turn 1. 15 laps once again. And medium tyres required. You don't have to do a pit stop, but it's probably quicker overall to do one. And one thing, as we've noticed, that track position is fairly important around here because it is a tricky circuit to overtake around. It is fairly easy to defend around this place, and therefore maybe a no stop can work. Maybe it can work. But at this point here, settling into the race nicely. You don't want to make any stupid errors. Just get into the race, and then we can worry about fighting a bit later on. So just behind we got a couple of Lexuses, Lexi, however you say plural of Lexus. Oh, I'm going to go with Lexi. And the Spaniard there visiting Barrier once again. Barrier very busy today, welcoming many new guests. But that's my gain ultimately as we move up into 3rd. So my job now really is to catch up with the guy in front, just get onto the back of him and then begin to see if we can probe and look for that move. So, over the line, end of lap 1, 2 seconds away from the leader. They're beginning to streak clear already. Gone with the Honda Raybrig NSX for this race. Just really testing it. From my experience, it doesn't respond well to tyre wear. So we have to manage that throughout the race. Drive nice and smoothly. Very easy to overdrive, especially this car around this track. Very fast cars for this type of circuit. And really just make sure you just drive nice and smoothly. Don't push the car too much. So, nice back sector there to the circuit. And I caught up after messing up turn 2 and losing a couple of tenths. So we are just edging closer. 2.3 to the leader, so he's not pulling away too much at this point. And then on the exit here, King is just making a slight visit to the grass, very slight, not enough to send him wide. But we've firmly caught up to the back of him. This is where things get tricky though. He's driving the Lexus. I'm going to look for this move and see if it's possible to do it. Turn 4 is always a possibility. Turn 1 and 2. And then I suppose the slipstream down the back straight towards Sterling's is always an opportunity. I think I've said that corner name wrong. Up the inside? No, not quite. It's going to require a brave move to really lunge in at this track. And back straight, slipstream, not quite enough. You do have to get a good exit, a superior exit to the car in front. Otherwise that's going to be a difficult overtaking place to go for it. Not the biggest braking zone, especially in these cars. These cars are so quick. End of lap 6, we're both going to go into the pit lane here, and in fact, really make a hash of it. I'm going to go into the back of him, and we're going to switch over to a fresh set of medium tyres. You get the drill. Out we go. We should be behind him. Let's see what the traffic is like as we exit. And he comes out right into the middle of a battle. Unfortunately for King Ears, he can just stay on the inside of the Skittlesmobile. And I'm going to send up the inside of the Skittlesmobile in a late lunge, almost into the back of King Ears. Almost murder him. Spaniard there, all out of shape. We're both going to go through. So that traffic was very quickly negotiated. Only took 3 corners. And we're back into clear air. That's good news, because those guys there in the back of shot still haven't pitted, therefore on older tyres, getting stuck behind them, that's only going to slow you down. And just before the pit stop, the German behind, Dat Effect 84, he was slowly beginning to reel us back in. So these laps are important here. I thought I was going to get a penalty there, didn't quite materialise. So once again, the stewards are asleep or non-existent. Coming up into the penultimate corner. So this really is a race between obviously the two of us here. And then we've got to watch out for Maori Popcorn, who's now in the pit lane, and also Dat Effect 84, who has not pitted just yet. So we're going to wait for his pit stop, see where that puts him out. I'm surprised he hasn't pitted yet. Up the inside we go, into turn 1. He didn't really fight it, just parked it on the apex, quite close behind there. So I'm just going to cover the middle of the circuit, and that's pretty much all you have to do to cover off that corner. And we're going to keep the position. So into 4th at this point. The Spaniard in 2nd hasn't pitted. The leader hasn't pitted. So we're just going to wait for them to do their pit stops, and we should theoretically be back up into 2nd position. So onto the back straight. Just trying to break that toe. Just trying to get away from King Ears, basically. So we can just really focus on setting some nice consistent laps without having to worry about defending or just seeing him in the mirrors, etc. So through the back section of the circuit, car responding very nicely, and I think you really want to make the most of these early laps on this fresh set of tyres, as the car responds nicely to my steering and throttle inputs, and also the braking inputs, I suppose. Just pulling away, so this lap's gone rather well, moving up the position, but then also just beginning to build a gap. So Spaniard goes into the pit lane. We are therefore going to move up into 3rd place. We have, how many laps do we have remaining? 7 laps to go. And a fair old gap to the guys in front. The German in the lead still has not pitted. This could mean he is now going onto a 0-stop strategy. And he's just going to try and stay out in front on 1 set of tyres, which are going to be very worn by the end of the race. As the tyre wear is very noticeable, even by the 6th or 7th lap on a stint. So, by the end of lap number 10, the gap to the guys in front, 4.8 to 2nd, 5.6 to the leader, and that is coming down with every lap. Lap 11, we have 5 laps to go. The last couple of laps are very consistent, low 16s, so we are in the right sort of ballpark to be doing the damage against the German up in front. The Italian then moves into the lead, and we didn't really expect to challenge him because he was a good couple of seconds ahead. Our main target here is the German, although having said that, big mistake from Popcorn, and he loses position, gains it back again, but I have just gained 1.2 seconds on the pair of them. In fact, I'm going to gain even more here, so they are consistently battling with each other, and it looks like Popcorn's just really having a bit of a mare here. And through turn 4, he just gets shepherded into the gravel. And that's his race pretty much done. That's his chance of a victory very quickly evaporated. So we've moved up into 2nd, and we have a real chance here of winning this race. The German just in front has not pitted, and he's gone for a very brave no-stop strategy. His tyres are dying of death. They're on their 13th lap, whereas my tyres are on about the 6th lap or 7th lap. So we've got a much, much fresher set of tyres here. Almost losing it on the exit curb there, but just keeping it going. We've got 2 laps to try to get this move done and get into the lead. Is he going to cover the inside? Yes, he is. I'm just going to try and keep it here on the right. Once that gap opens up, we're going to send up the inside with the fresher tyres. We can brake later. Well, we overcook it. He comes flying back through, and we are back in 2nd. So you do need to make this move as soon as possible, ideally. Otherwise, you might just get a little bit too comfortable with that position. How about turn 4? Always a good overtaking opportunity. Boom, we're going to send up the inside. And he just leaves the space. And we've got the position. We're up into the lead of the race. Now, I know that I have a big tyre advantage. I just need to make sure that I consolidate the position. He is very close behind. Just going to defend it. And again, slightly overcook it. Overcooking it being my speciality. Going narrow here into the right-hander. And he's not quite able to do it around the outside. Yeah, don't go to one of my dinner parties because I will overcook everything. Well, we're firmly in the lead. In fact, now the German has king ears for company. And we can just try to pull away and not have to worry about that group behind. We've got a nice little margin, tyre advantage. Just thinking this one through, we should be fine from here. It's just really a case of don't do anything stupid. We are on worn tyres. The Honda is fairly tricky to drive on worn tyres, to be fair. So it is quite easy, especially around Brands Hatch. It's not a very forgiving circuit with all the gravel and all the grass. There's no tarmac runoff here. This was the last opportunity for me to bottle it really through Sheen Curve. Ultimately, we're going to come through to win the race, and that was actually a really pleasing result. Not much in the way of mistakes, just very consistent performance, and bringing home a sub 19 minute 30 result. Could have gone a couple of seconds quicker there without the battling, but it was a good race and it was a good fun battle, and it does show that you can actually overtake around here. But there you go, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Goodbye.